day, and welcome to another exciting episode of WEDCOnomics, brought to you by Wentworth Economic Development Corporation and Wolfeboro Community TV. Our friends at Wolfeboro Community TV, remember them in your annual giving. WEDCOnomics is primarily about small business here in the eastern part of the Lakes region here in New Hampshire. And we have different topics each week, and true to form, we have an interesting topic today. Bruce Woodruff, welcome.
Thank you, Jack.
Bruce is the town planner for the town of Milton, New Hampshire. He's also on the board of directors of WEDCO, so he's been pretty immersed in what we do, and WEDCO is here to advise, finance, and promote the small business sector here in the Eastern Lakes region. That's what we do. So I thought it would be interesting, Bruce, if we chatted a little bit. The name of this episode is called In My Hometown.
I like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
not bad. I came up with that yesterday. And really what I kind of want to touch upon is sort of, for those that are thinking about opening a small business or pursuing their entrepreneurial ideas, what sort of partnership they might have or expect with the municipality in which they're wanting to open up their small business. But we'll start with this, Bruce. What exactly does a town planner do?
That's an incredibly hard question to answer, and I'll tell you the reason why.
Well, it's not we drill down here at WEDCOnomics, but go ahead.
We're going to drill. Here's a maybe not short answer. Planners, first of all, they have to have a very patient attitude in planning things that don't happen for probably at least 10 years.
Is that right?
Absolutely right, because first, if you prepare a plan, you advocate for people reading the plan and then using it. You also have to plan for the action and the implementation that happens afterwards. So what does a town planner do? Well, a town planner does a lot of paperwork, prepares a lot of documents, reviews plans from developers, site plans, plans from people that want to subdivide their property and put developments in, put roads and infrastructure in, and that planner makes sure that all those things happen with one thing in mind: the development of the community that he or she lives in, and getting it done right, so that there's no safety issues, there's no liability for the town moving forward, and on
No
and on.
lawsuits.
No lawsuits, that's
No.
right. The next thing that a planner does is a planner helps with making a master plan for the community, and the master plan has to reflect the community's feelings about what they want their community to be like. The master plan does things like lays out what you're going to do with community facilities, what kind of businesses you need to see in a community, and many other things. Now, I have brought with me today some big ideas. And those big ideas I put on big paper. This is a copy of part of Milton's master plan. And really the part that I wanted to show everybody or talk about was economic development and land use. There are implementation strategies, there are goals. This is great paper here.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
There's a long story behind why this is this big. I got up in the middle of the night last night and printed this stuff out, and I was in the dark. I didn't turn the lights on. And I'm printing it out. Then I looked over at the printer, and I see this huge paper.
Yeah, but it's good.
Oh, it's really good.
Easy to read.
It's easy to read. So one of the things that we want to do in Milton is recommend the things that have to happen. One of the things is, what does the planner do? Another thing is, because zoning is under the auspices of the planning board says, well, here is a description of what we want to do, here is the recommendation, and you use this list to move forward with changing ordinances, and you do other things like researching and creating a village center overlay district. By the way, the planning board is doing that right now. And it should be done for, the town meeting vote in March. There are many things that the master plan says that you should do. And we'll put that away for now. But the bottom line is, it's a plan that should be read.
Yeah, by everybody.
By everybody. The development of the plan was done with the public's input
Right.
at various stages,
Yeah.
sometimes even a survey. So that's one of the things that a planner does.
Well, can I ask a couple questions before you go further?
Yes, you sure can.
So this was adopted September 2002.
But this is me. December 19th, 2017. So much of what you read on these 3 giant pages was added by the planner, vetted by the planning board and the public, and then adopted.
But when it says adopted, is that by vote of the populace of the town, or is that by the planning board?
It's by the planning board.
Does the town planner work at the pleasure of the planning board?
That's one of the things that a town planner does. And that's why the question at the top of the show is very complex. Yes, I work for the planning board. I do their bidding. I work for the public, too. One of the things that I do is I take phone calls just about every day from people that want to develop their property. Now, some of those development ideas are commercial. Some are industrial, many are residential. Can you help me navigate the steps, the red tape, bureaucratic, local town ordinance, and regulation steps so that I can get through and not have to go, oh, it's too hard. So that's one of my jobs, is to make sure that I answer all questions and that I assist everyone, especially with regard to economic development in the town.
So the town planner is a friend of the people.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, the town planner, that would be me in Milton, will assist the regular citizen, not a corporate entity, more than those that already should know what the process is, what the rules are, what steps they need to take with land use boards.
So you're likely to spend more time with the individual citizen than you are with a corporate entity that wants to open up a branch.
That's
whatever.
always been my mantra,
Yeah.
no matter where I've worked.
Well, that's interesting. So, I mean, for those that didn't know about a town planner, so now we know that you've got someone theoretically on your team within that government structure that's there to grease the way,
That's right.
whether it be residential or commercial.
Part of the things that a planner does is to try to herd cats as well, and sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. Another thing that I've done in the past is, and you have this in front of you here, there's a picture of me on Wolfeboro News. I've worked in many different communities, and one of the things that I helped develop was this right here. This is for economic development. These are historical banners that were developed and put up on the main street in a little village in WEDCO's area.
Yeah.
What does it do? It does many things. It slows the traffic down. It makes it
When you say banners, you mean just good old fabric banners?
Yeah, hanging from telephone poles as you drive down the street.
Oh, okay. All right, so tell me what you accomplished.
Well, what we accomplished was making people understand that this is a village on a busy highway that was not busy when the village was first created, and the village atmosphere began to erode. The vitality of the village began to go right down the tubes. So this is just one of several strategies to help people understand that this is still a historic village that you can come to. You can shop, you can buy things, you can go to a historic old country store, you can go to the library, and you may be able to walk from place to place. If the traffic goes a little slower, we received an award of excellence for doing this.
So these banners are flying right on Route 25, right?
They are.
Right, because I see the Milton store, which you call Freeze's Tavern.
Well, that's the historical origin of the old country store, was Freeze's
So these
Tavern.
banners bring attention to the historic nature of that particular part of Milton or that village.
Yeah.
Slows down traffic, raises awareness. I would imagine it raises considerably the pride of that community.
Yeah, that's right. And if there are any unused buildings that might be historical in nature, it might help bring light to the fact that it is underused or unused and maybe could be put to some kind of a commercial use. That was the goal. This was an idea that came out of a study and a committee that was formed called the Village Revitalization Committee. I helped prepare the report. Now, as I've said before, planners hate it when you finish a report and somebody puts it up on the shelf.
Oh, that's the worst.
So that report...
Don't ever do that.
Yeah,
don't ever make a business plan and put it on the shelf.
That's right.
Don't ever do that. First of all, you just wasted your time.
Yes.
And second of all, you will go adrift if you're not using that as a working document.
An action plan.
An action plan.
The key word is action. Action and implementation with any plan that you make. So it's always a 2 or a 3-step deal. You plan, you advocate, and then you implement. And that's basically what you do, and it could be anything. It could be the land use planning, and it could be economic development as well. And again, one of the things that a planner also does is a planner is a staff liaison to any economic development committee that the town has. And that brings me to another big idea with big print. This is part of Milton's strategic economic development plan. Now, a lot of this was written in 2012. There's a lot of stuff to this, and one of the things you'll see is there's a tie-in to the master plan shown here, obviously, for what kind of economic development the community wants.
Yeah.
And then there's an identification of issues, opportunities, and places where you might want economic development to happen. There are design workshops that happen, and this is what planners do. Talking about this is what it would look like. This is what we could do with transportation, building new roads, access points, recognizing that in Milton there's always the issue of not enough infrastructure for sewer and water, and how do you get around that? What are the strategies that you'd use?
Why is there not enough infrastructure? Because of the ponds?
Well, it's because, in the early days of putting in a sewer system, they only did it around the village. So there's no build-out of sewer, and there's no money anymore to do it. There's no federal money as there used to be in the 70s.
Why are the feds getting out of that business of expanding infrastructure?
I don't really have an answer to
Yeah.
that, but one of the things that a planner does is, just keeping to that first question that you had for me, a planner always has to be on the lookout for grant opportunities that come along across the spectrum of stuff about land development, economic development, and try to write those grant opportunities, those grant applications.
Town planner needs to be a grant writer as well.
That's right.
Grant writing is no small undertaking.
It is not.
Successful grant writing is really no small undertaking. I thought of congressionally, what do they call that? Congressionally, it comes out once a year. It's a spending bill so New Hampshire, depends on the year, I guess, but
Yeah.
might have $100 million coming to us for our own types of projects.
Right.
It comes out of Senator Shaheen's office.
Yeah.
That would be money that you might go after, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the community has to weigh, what the strings are with regard to some of these grants. Some of these
Strings.
grants have 20% local match
Yep.
that has to be cash in smaller towns. Cash like that has to be appropriated at town meeting by the voters. And so some of the timing doesn't work out right. It takes a lot of advance planning to make this work.
So one of the things that pops to my mind, and we are really drilling down on question one, but that's good. That's good. That's a good thing. Because I think we all need to know not only the value of town planning and a town planner, but how to best utilize that person, that position for whatever you're attempting to do.
Right.
But one of the things that comes to mind is you mentioned right off the bat, you're talking potentially a 10-year period of time between the idea and the actual implementation, potentially.
Yes.
Meantime, you can have one or two or more changes in the leadership of that local government via elections.
Yes.
So what one group or mindset thought was a great idea might be wholly replaced by another group that says this is a terrible idea, and all that work is gone.
That's where the advocacy and the bully pulpit come in. It really takes a lot of trying to educate the next group of leadership in town, because it does change. I mean, one of my examples is in 2005 I began to work on getting a grant and getting state funding at the municipal bridge program to replace a bridge that had to be taken down. That was 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on it for almost 20 years, 19 years I worked on it.
Yeah.
I got it so that we got money. I got it so that we got 80% of the funding. But at the back end of all this, there was leadership change. At the back end of this, there was project manager change up at DOT, and times change. Money gets tighter. And so today, in 2024, that bridge is not going to be built, even though a planner worked on this for 19 years. That's an example of, you have to persevere, you can't ever give up. But when the voters say, the price tag is too high, so we're not going to do this, in March of 2023, that's the end of it.
Wow.
It's not a bad thing, and again, as I say, a planner has to be patient. A planner has to make sure that he or she looks down the road into the future just a little bit. You know, you always plan to have things go right, but you also have to plan to fail
Yeah,
as well.
that's a really good point, planning to fail. Not that's a desired goal.
No, it's not.
But if you're not properly prepared for that, for example, does the town planner have any recourse if the people say we're not going to replace that bridge, and the town planner knows that bridge is critical for the development of the town or whatever? Do you have no recourse to save that project?
Well, New Hampshire law does say when the voters speak, no means no.
That's New Hampshire law.
Yeah, that's right. But
Live free or die.
yes. And so it is a different animal. And as I've said to you before,
Vote yes or die.
I worked in the construct of 3 different types of governments.
Yeah.
Through my career. One of them was a town manager council government. One of them was a city council, city manager type of government, and a couple of my most recent positions was to work in a selectman, which is that's the governing body, and the voters, which is the legislative body. So when they speak, that really is it.
The voters are the legislative body?
That's correct.
Are you talking about home rule?
Oh, no, because New Hampshire is not a home rule state.
Okay.
And
I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole.
no, I don't think so.
Okay. Did you always picture yourself a town planner, or is this...
No. No, I think you're asking me about my professional journey.
I am a little bit. I'm just... I'm curious. I'm curious about a lot of things. Not every town has a town planner, for one.
And that's unfortunate.
Should they?
Yes.
For 2, and all that kind of thing. But how did you end up in this environment?
Oh, this is really complicated. But
Okay.
let's try to do it
Yeah.
a little short synopsis.
All right.
So
You don't have any giant things, printouts on this particular topic?
no, I don't.
Okay. No?
I'm going to tell you, I started out in the military, in the Air Force, and
Is that related to this?
oh, this is a claymore, which is a big Scottish sword, and on the claymore is one of the 2 clans that I associate with in Scotland. This is the MacGregor clan,
Okay.
which in Latin it says, "Royal is my race."
Okay.
My grandmother's ancestors married, and 2 clans married. This was something that didn't happen when clans didn't get along in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
One of my grandmother's clans was the Macphersons, and one was the MacGregors. They didn't get along, but these 2 people who are my ancestors were very much in love, and they married. And so the patriarchal line was the MacGregors as it ran through, and as you probably do or don't know, the MacGregor clan name was proscribed at various times in Scottish history, and that meant that if you were a MacGregor, you might end up killed or in jail. And there was a great moving away from that clan name. My grandmother's name was Black, because they changed their name from MacGregor to Black because it was a black day.
Wow. I don't even have that question on the... So.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so, yeah, you started in the military, and then...
Yes, and so I was a civil engineering technician.
Okay. All right.
And
That's important.
And when I got out of the Air Force, I walked across Pease Air Force Base, and I raised my right hand and I joined the Air National Guard. And from then on, I was in the military for 35 years, 9 months and 19 days without a break. But I always had I had a civilian thing that I did, and that civilian thing was engineering, until the nuclear power plant stuff dried up. I was a field engineer for instrumentation and control. And then in 1986, I I found myself out of a job, and I applied to become the civil engineering technician for the town of Hudson. I worked under the town engineer there. And a couple of years later, I said, hey, there's an open spot. I'm going to try to become the zoning administrator in Hudson. I got the position. And that's where I cut my teeth on learning everything there is to know about zoning administration, land use laws, ordinances in towns, and how to shepherd people through the process.
How important was it that you had an engineering background, given the work you're doing now?
Well, I see planners out there today that don't have that engineering background, but it sure does come in handy when you're reviewing the plans that people put before planning boards and
Right.
zoning boards
Right.
for development. So if that development involves constructing infrastructure, like stormwater infrastructure, sewer and water infrastructure, and anything to do with how to build a road and make it last,
Right.
especially if it's going to become a town road,
Mm-hmm.
that really comes in handy. And
Yeah.
it saves the town money.
Yeah, I would imagine. Okay, I'm going to leap ahead because we have to. We're running out of time. But I would like to get your input. Let's assume we have people out there that are thinking about going into business or starting a business or expanding a business. What's your recommendation to them as far as as they start to interface with local government, or do they even need to do that, or is that a good idea?
Well, so if you're talking about a business that wants to start up and they have a piece of land, they want to build their own store or facility, their own building, their own site development, they really have to talk to someone in a town or a city that is in planning, because that will help them immensely.
Okay.
If it's a business that wants to go into an existing building,
Yep.
I still recommend that, especially with things like changes of use and intensification of use
Yeah.
of a building or a property, where whatever you want to put in there brings in a lot more traffic, a lot more parking requirements. Those things have to be dealt with. And so your city or town planner will be an incredible resource for you in at least showing you what steps you have to take to get approvals.
Right. I think that would be hugely valuable, and nobody likes surprises, so I think if you get somebody on board early on as to what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it, that's a good thing.
That's right.
You have an ally.
Absolutely an ally. And businesses out there that want to do the first thing that I said really have to go to the planning board for site plan review and approval. Some folks say, well, this is an awful red tapey thing that we're going to do. But I say that it's a two-way street. Because if you go in and you get approval to do your business, your land use, and set your site up the way it shows on the plan, it's like a contract between you and the municipality. So we have to honor what you said you were going to do on that plan. We can't go back later and say, oh, we don't like what you're doing. We don't like this.
Once it's been approved.
Once it's been approved, that's right.
Yeah, it's like a
Now-
contract. It's a good
Now,
way to
with
look at
regard
it.
to, economic development, I was the staff liaison to the Milton Economic Development Committee. They did the strategic plan that we saw the big sheets of paper on.
Uh-huh.
They were the ones that, I assisted as well, put the business directory together. It's incredible in a small town that you have almost 90 small businesses, cottage businesses, home businesses, businesses that actually have business places, but a lot of these businesses are more nebulous when it comes to where they operate.
Mm-hmm.
And their presence can only be advertised as long as the town helps them. So, on the town's website, we have a business directory. When you want to find a business, you click on that, and the business directory comes up. You have a certain need, it says what those businesses do. That was updated last, I think, in 2019 or 2021,
Yeah,
and it needs to be done again.
yeah. Does that fall on you?
I believe it does.
Okay. Just don't want you to get bored at your job. Folks, we are out of time. Clearly, Bruce, we're going to have to do a part deux at some point.
All right.
Because there's more that I would like to drill down on that we were able to get to, that we weren't able to get to today. And but it's been a very interesting talk. It really is important for somebody who's seeking to do business in the town to not be afraid to talk to somebody. And it sounds like a good first step is, if the town has a town planner, that should be your first call.
That's right.
And you'll direct them where needed.
And maybe I won't talk you to death.
You didn't talk anybody to death. I mean, I don't know. I can't see the audience, but I
That's
think
right.
they're still out there. So thanks so much for tuning in, folks. Again, thanks to our guest, Bruce Woodruff, town planner, town of Milton.
Thank you, Jack.
Very interesting conversation.
Appreciate it.
We'll have another one at some point, and in the meantime, folks, enjoy this day.